Hello students, welcome to yet another online video class of degree first year of BA, BCom, BSc, BBA of Usmania University semester 1. I am Bangla Bharati, Associate Professor of English, Vivekananda Government Degree College, Vidyanagar, Hyderabad. Today, we are going to look at the reading passages prescribed in your course book, that is English Made Easy, published by Orient Black Swan. This is for the first and second semester, that is a first year textbook. In that, I'll quickly take you through the overview of the syllabus, and today we are going to look at the reading passage aspect of it. Let me share the PowerPoint. Just be online. Give me a minute. Okay, I hope you can see it. Yeah, reading passages. This is part 1. And in part 1, we'd be dealing with the reading passages of semester 1. And reading passages part 2, we would be dealing with the reading passages of semester 2. And in part 1, this is UG semester 1 and 2, English, General English course of BA, BCom, BBA and BSc of Usmania University. Now, reading passages, English Made Easy. This is your textbook, General English course book, has 2 aspects in it, semester 1 and 2. Each semester has 4 lessons and each lesson has one text. It could be a short story, it could be an essay, it could be a poem or a play, followed by language part, that is grammar, vocabulary and spelling. Then something to practice listening, that is pronunciation, and speaking, where you have conversations. Then you have writing, that is paragraph writing, note writing, essay writing and all that. Then comes the reading part. Reading, you have reading passages on culture and traditions of the Telangana state. Then you have soft skills. Each lesson has one particular soft skill dealt in detail and ends with the value orientation. This is a quick overview of your General English semester 1 and semester 2 plan. Now, reading passages. Reading passages of semester 1 are intended to develop reading skills alongside introducing the culture, tradition, art, handicrafts, history of the Telangana state. And reading, it's an important skill to be developed for students to improve their writing skills. The more you read, the better your writing becomes. The more you listen, the better your speaking becomes. So reading, you have certain techniques. Reading for comprehension, wherein you use techniques like skimming, scanning, thorough reading, which could be intensive and extensive. And then semester 1, reading passages introduce all these techniques. Now, short stories that you have, the prose part, we'd be studying it as under reading comprehension. What is reading? Reading is a means of thinking with another person's mind. It forces you to stretch your own imagination, your own thought process. Why is reading important? It is important way of getting exposed to the English language. The exposure increases your communicative competence and you become more proficient and you gain confidence. What is the purpose of reading? Why are we reading actually? If you don't know anything about a subject, then pouring words of text into your mind, it's like pouring water into your hand. Can you retain much? Can you actually hold it? You cannot. So that is the reason why we need to read a lot, so that you will retain as much English language as possible, so that when the necessity comes, you can produce it or you can write it. Now, what are the academic purposes for reading? Reading to search particular information, there are 2 techniques, scanning and skimming. And That is reading for quick understanding, it is skimming. And reading to learn something, reading to integrate information. You read to evaluate, criticize, and use that information for your future knowledge to build your knowledge base. And reading for general comprehension. In many cases, reading for interest or something that makes you entertain. So that comes under reading for general comprehension. Now we look at the technique called skimming. That is, you read very fast, skipping words and sentences, sometimes even paragraphs that are not important. And you try to look and get an overall understanding of the text. For example, there's a movie review, or you have the examination timetable. So you want to see when is the English exam. So you quickly look for English, and there you find. For reading a story of a movie review, what is a movie review? Who's a hero, heroine? Fine. Is it how many stars? Should I go and watch the film or not? Like that. So skimming is often you skip the words, sentences, and even paragraphs, and you will look for the exact information to understand what is it that you need. Scanning, whereas looking at the scanning from cover to cover, instead of that, you go to a specific page and you will quickly search for that particular information. That is, if there is a store article or in a dictionary, there's a word that starts with AS. So you're looking for words. So you'll quickly open the dictionary, you'll go to A, then AS, and then you will quickly look for that particular information. This is scanning. Very specifically, you scan for that particular word or an answer. It's like a store article or Abraham's book on Wikipedia or all your Google searches, they come under scanning. Now comes the other part, intensive reading. What is intensive reading? Intensive reading aims to build more language knowledge rather than practice the skill of reading. So it is like building your knowledge base, all your subjects, optional subjects, and right from your childhood, whatever you're reading, that comes under intensive reading. By intensive reading, learners can learn some new vocabulary, practice some grammar, learn something about the topic that is given in the text. Then comes the extensive reading. Extensive reading is like this comes for reading for pleasure or joy or entertainment. You may read text selectively without being bothered by unfamiliar words or whatever. So like you are reading a story in the magazine, or you're reading some short stories or novels just to pass your time for pleasure. This comes under extensive reading. Extensive reading actually improves your speed of reading. Not only that, it will also, because you're doing it for pleasure, you're doing it for your own knowledge, and you're doing it for your own joy. So it also improves your vocabulary base. Now, what are the benefits of extensive reading? Benefits of extensive reading: enhances language learning areas such as spellings, vocabulary, grammar, text structure. That will again lead to increased knowledge of the world, which will again improve your reading and writing skills. Not only that, you have a greater enjoyment of reading and you have more positive attitude towards reading. That means there's higher possibility of developing a reading habit. And students, you're all students, you should never say reading is a hobby. For a student, it is a habit that you do every day. Wake up at certain time, brush your teeth, have your breakfast, like that. You have to read every day. You have to write every day. That is a habit, not a hobby. Keep that in mind. Now, reading passages. You are introduced to a passage. When you're reintroduced to a passage, you skim, scan, and do intensive and extensive reading. Try to understand. One second. Do intensive and extensive reading and try to improve your reading skills. Semester 1 has 4 reading passages. Lesson number 1, Chindu Yellamma. Lesson number 2, The Million March. Lesson number 3, it's about Batukamma. Lesson 4 has a passage on Hussain Sagar. These are all a part of the Telangana culture and art and performing arts and the tradition and festivals. And lesson number 1, you're introduced to a reading passage on Chindu Ellamma. So how do we go about it? I'll first take you through the background and some reading material before actually reading the text that is given in your course book. Chindu or Chindu Bhagavatam. It's a very popular performing folk art of Telangana state. This art form was patronized and it enjoyed great support from people and from the landlords, doras across Telangana state. And people used to come in hordes to watch a Chindu Yakshagana performance because it had humor, it had something to do with the current affairs. They told stories from the epics, and there was foot tapping music, and people used to come for the Chindulu. Chindulu are the jumping movements in this particular performance that the youth enjoyed a lot. There was also some social criticism. There were also some nice snippets given to the society about how to behave, what to do, and it was very, very entertaining and informative. And it also caused a lot of social change, these Bhagavatam performances. Now, reading passage of your first semester, lesson 1 is on Chindu Ellamma. Who is Chindu Ellamma? The Chindu, the name itself tells you that she comes from that performing art form. But who was she? And what is Chindu? Chindu is a Yakshagana tradition of Telangana. Usually one troupe, it has around 50 artists. Most of them are from the same family. These are the performers. They are nomadic in nature. Nomadic means they don't have a proper permanent place. Wherever, whichever village calls them for a performance, they all travel to that village, camp there for a certain time, perform in the village and the surrounding villages, and then again wherever they get an invitation, they shift to that another village. Like that, it is a nomadic troupe. They're all nomadic performers, and men and women, they make this complete troupe, and they have all the artists in that family itself. They perform stories from epics, from folklore, mainly from Bhagavatam, and they all belong to the SC community. Now I'm going to show a short video of Chindu artists. They are invoking their deity Yellamma Talli in the SC community village of Edumailaram village of Medak district. It's a short video. Notice how men who are also dressed as women, how they are invoking the goddess Yellamma, and once the goddess comes over to them, how they kind of perform that Chindu, which is a very specific jumps in their entire performance. This is not a performance, this is only a prayer invocation. So here it comes, watch carefully. This is for about a minute and a half. Men, women, they are all dressed up. Observe their makeup. All of them are from the same family, dressed up in full makeup. The drummers, the cymbal people, they are all the artists from the same family. This is invocation just before the actual performance. The stage is on this side and the invocation happened on the other side. After the invocation, they will invite the Yellamma or the performer onto the stage where the other artists are there, and then the actual performance begins. Now, Chindu Yellamma belongs to this particular Yakshagana tradition, and there are many books about Chindu Yellamma. Books written on her, books that when she gave an interview, that interview entire essence was published as a book. These are the different ones. Chindu Bhagavatam, Nenu Chindu Yellammani, Chindula Yellamma, or Chindu Yellamma Yadi. And let me tell you, all these cover pages, they are not men. They are all women character. That is Yellamma, who is a very well-known performer of the Telangana state. She played the roles of both men and women. That is her speciality. Now, Chindu Yakshagana tradition, a little background about it. It is caste specific. Chindu Yellamma dedicated her life to goddess Yellamma and vowed that she will perform episodes from Bhagavatam, and she popularized this art form a lot. Now I'm going to present a next short video on Chindu Yellamma as an introduction to this artist who is forgotten by the history. This video is a clipping from an atheism channel series on women artists in social reconstruction. So watch this, you will get a background of who this Yellamma was, where was she born, what was her name, and what's her speciality. This is about some 1 minute, not more than 1 minute. Watch it.
Chindu Yellamma, untouchability, caste oppression and poverty have been part of Chindu Yellamma's life. The very mention of Chindu Bhagavatam brings to mind Yellamma's name. Mostly non-literate Bhagavata artists adapt stories from the Mahabharata, Ramayana and Bhagavad Gita for performance in the Yakshagana style. Yellamma was awarded Hamsa by the State Cultural Division in recognition of her signal service to the field of art.
That's about Chindu Yellamma. Very short video. Okay. Now I'm going to give you a quick, short kind of an introduction from this book called Towards a World of Equals, which is on gender sensitization, which will come in your semester 2 as a SEC, which is a compulsory paper. Read it. I'll give you a minute's time about Chindu Bhagavatam. Read it for a minute and try to understand what is it, what form, what does it do. 2 questions. So I'll give you a minute. I'll watch the time for you. Your time starts now. So what is Chindu Bhagavatam? It's an ancient rural performing art that comes under Yakshagana. It has a unique reputation among the Indian art forms. What does it celebrate? It celebrates rural life, economy, and culture, all of which are crucial for the survival of the rural community. So what does Bhagavatam do? It gives life to the village and their imagination. So what happens when people have to live away from their village? They experience a sense of loss And this sense of loss is very intense in Telangana state. Now, this is about Chindu Yellamma's brief history from the book. What happened in our times, in the modern times, what happened to the traditional village resources and surroundings, and what's the influence of urbanization? When people started moving away from villages into towns, into the city, what happened to the culture? What new festivals have come into being? And how did this Chindu Yakshaganam came into mainstream films? How did it influence the old black and white films that N.T. Ramarao has produced? These are the questions for which you will find the answers in this screen, the short text that I have pasted here. I'll give you 2 minutes of time. Read it. I'll watch the time for you. Your time starts now. When people started moving from villages into towns, what happened? Villages culture base started getting eroded. Means it started getting worn out. Why? Because new kind of Hindu festivals came in, like the Ganesh Navaratri Puja or Varalakshmi Puja, or all kinds of the Maharashtrian, North Indian and city-based festivals have come into our being. So earlier, the village folk who used to happily celebrate or watch a folk performance, they stopped watching such folk performances. Instead, everybody started having a pandal, get a Ganesha, and all the 10 days play film songs and dance around it, and then finally the entire procession to immerse the idol in the nearby lake. That has become very popular after independence and after people started moving from villages to the towns or cities. So in this context, what happened to the Chindu Yakshagana tradition? It was ignored and it was neglected. For any art form to survive, it needs patronization. It needs some kind of support. It needs people to watch. If you watch the films, the film industry survives. If you read books, the book publishing industry survives. If there is no popularity, there is no patronization, then entire industry will collapse. Like that, Chindu Yakshagana tradition also, now it is in ruins in villages today. But its trace continues in modern culture also. We all know how N.T. Ramarao made so many films on Indian mythology. And even today, when we say Lord Rama or Lord Krishna, we have a picture of that senior NTR with entire blue color painted on his body and the entire attire, the kiritam, the crown, the flute, his dress, the ornaments. All this came from the Chindu artistic tradition because NTR actually introduced these figures by looking at the Chindu troops, and most of his old films had some Chindu performers come and perform. Entire attire, dress, makeup, narration, style of their dialogue delivery, the humor, they all went into films. And how did these Chindu people create? They used to go to the forest, they used to collect plants, leaves, roots, stems, and so on. And then they invented this entire headgear, ornaments, type of different kinds of clothes, colors, makeup. They all created over a period of time. Now, these paints are ornaments and even the weapons they use and the musical instruments used in these performances, adorning this makeup, carrying the correct kind of weapons. When they come to the stage near the village square, their dress will sparkle in the lights, Petromax lights or whatever lights, they sparkle in the gold. And that's when these performers come onto the stage, it looks as if with all the music, drama, drums, dance, entire stage is filled with a different kind of an energy. And the audience will become entranced. The world of gods as if it has come onto the stage, into the village, into the center. So based on the study of its visual art, dance, song, music, theme and structure, researchers have established that the Chindu form is a very, very ancient form. In fact, the word Chindu has come from the Indus Valley civilization Sindhu, which was earlier Sindhu Nagarikata. Sindhu, from Sindhu it came as Chindu. That's what the researchers have said. Now some even speculate that is what it is. Look at the text, take a minute to read it. How can you say that Chindu Bhagavatama Yakshagana goes back to Indus Valley civilization? Because of the ornaments, the makeup, the Maiputa, or what they put it on the deity's face. Like Jambavantudu, Yellamma, in the Chindu performance, the ornaments they use, the shells, all these were used during the Indus Valley civilization. You have found in those excavations, archaeological excavations, all these things which are used by the Chindu Yakshagana tradition. That means this was as old as the Indus Valley civilization. Now this is quite a text. If you can read. Anyway, I'll just give you a gist of what this text material is about. Every Chindu performance begins with a ritual wherein the artists pray to the leather workers, because all the leather ornaments that they have, leather is got from whom? Leather workers curing tank, that is Madhikatanda. Then the blacksmith's furnace, Kammari Kumpati, and then potter's kiln, that is potter's Kummari, Kammari, Madhiga, and all the carpenters, Vadrangi, and all the skilled labor, skilled forces of the entire society who have contributed to their performance. Either you want to create a weapon, you want to create a stick, you want to create a makeup thing, you need so many people contributing, right? So all these traditional skilled persons, artisans, they first pray, they thank everybody. And that artisans' occupations, about everything will be described in detail. How the Yellamma Talli or the goddess, her sword is prepared. How she destroys, with that she destroys the evil in the society. So relationship between the various communities, various castes, various sectors in the society, including agriculture or all kinds of occupations that people have, kulavrutti we say, right? Occupations and all that, how everybody contributes to the society. About that, they give an invocation and then they start. And who was Chindu Yellamma? Chindu Yellamma was, her father was Pilletla Napsai and mother was Yellamma. When she was young, she was along with the family, she was introduced into this art, and then she was married to a person called Saidulu at the age of 15. By then, Yellamma was performing. And how Yellamma became Yellamma? Because when she was young, Her father lost his eyesight. So she prayed to the goddess Yellamma that if my father becomes all right, I'll dedicate my life to you, to your service. Her actual name is Saraswati. So Saraswati became Yellamma like that. Then she took Shindu Yakshagana form from the village square to the outside, to the cities, to the towns, to the urban areas, and wherever she went, people used to throng and watch the performance. Such was the greatness of her performance. And Dr. Nataraja Ramakrishna, who revived the 10th century art form of Perni Shivatandavam, when she performed, he watched her performance and he gave the report how great an artist she was. So just, I'll give you 1 minute's time, read through it. When she died, he mentioned in the obituary about, he recollected his memories of Chindu Yellamma. This is what Nataraj Ramakrishna has to say. When I think of Yellamma, my grief knows no bounds. The spirit of her performance, that is the Abhinaya, appears before my eyes as I speak. He first met her at Amur, where she performed along with her troupe. Two stories, Sarangadhara and Chenchalakshmi. Her performance as Chitrangi in Sarangadhara was very wonderful because it is getting dark and he thought, I have to leave, I have to go home. And that's when she said, Ramakrishna Garu, 2 minutes, please wait. She went to the backstage and returned in the makeup of Narasimha Swami. And her next performance was the Chenchalakshmi, which is from an epic, where she has donned the role of the Narasimha Swami, which is a male performance. I mean, Sarangadhara Chitrang is a very, very feminine performance. Same lady, for her next role, she just went backstage, changed her get-up. She came as a man, that too as a god, Narasimha Swami. And in the same play, after the Narasimha Swami's wedding to Chenchalakshmi, she again mesmerized people. And there are instances where people said when Chindu Yellamma came like Narasimha Swami onto the stage, people were scared and people had these goosebumps all over, and they had a feeling as if the Lord Narasimha has descended from heaven and it was the god or a man performing on the stage, not a woman. Sad thing is, as she performed the roles of Rama and Krishna, Narasimha, Chenchalakshmi, Goddess Lakshmi, and all kinds of roles. Roles were brilliant, but then the financial position, the poverty was terrible. And she could not even escape that untouchability which was there in vogue in that time in the society. She was ignored till her end. And she used to tell, what's the use of giving me Hamsa award, this award, that award? It's very difficult for me to live. If you can give me some land, some financial support, then maybe I will survive. Through me, the art also will survive. So if you give me 10,000 rupees, awards, rewards, it doesn't matter much. It will support me, but then for this art form to survive, I need some support. Unfortunately, nobody could support her and she died of starvation on November 9, 2005 in her old dilapidated hut. This is about the great artist Chindu Yellamma. Now the introduction is over, background is over. We have watched a few videos on her also. Now we will come into the text part. What you have done so far is you have had an introduction. You have done some kind of background reading, which was extensive to just gain knowledge. And now is the part from the text. I have made the text into few chunks, two parts. Now you have to find answers to the questions. Question number 1, who was Chindu Yellamma? Question number 2, how did she get that name? Third question about her marriage and the decisions. Then what is Bhagavatam? In that, how is Chindu Bhagavatam different? These are the questions, 4 questions. I will now give a full screen of the text part. You have to find the answers. I'll give you 3 minutes of time. Go through it. Questions. Who was Chindu Yellamma? How did she get that name? Tell us about her marriage and her decisions. What is Bhagavatam? How is Chindu Bhagavatam different? I'll give you 3 minutes of time. I'll watch the time for you. You have to find the answers. Try to skim, try to scan, try to do intensive reading, try to do extensive reading. If possible, read loudly so that it will improve your pronunciation also. Start. I'll keep the time for you. A quick look at the questions. Who was Chindu Yellamma? Where is she from? What was her name? Her background? How did she become Chindu Yellamma? What about her marriage? What did she decide about her marriage? What is Bhagavatam? How is Chindu Bhagavatam different from the ordinary Bhagavatam? Quickly find the answers. Chindu Yellamma hailed from a disadvantaged community in the town of Basara near Nizamabad of Telangana. What was her name? Saraswati. She belonged to a family and community which traveled from village to village performing Chindu Bhagavatam. What happened? Her father suffered from near blindness. So she believed that if she dedicated her life to service of Goddess Yellamma, then her faith would be repaid and her father's sight would be restored. Over a time, the father did become all right. He acquired his sight. So as a sign of respect and devotion, she changed her name to Chindu Yellamma. What about her marriage details? She was married at the age of 14, but then she found that the marital duties prevented her from dedicating herself completely to the art form. So what did she decide? She made arrangements so that Her husband could marry her sister, and she lived a childless life, wherein she wanted to further this Chindu Bhagavatam as an art form. What is Bhagavatam? It is considered to be the essence of all Vedas. It exists in various versions, including Chindu Bhagavatam. Now, how is Chindu Bhagavatam different? This is a typical characteristic of nomadic community from Telangana. The name is derived the manner in the community's presentation of the art form. Chindu means jump, and the troop presentation involves lots of leaps and jumps around. So it became a title that they embraced. So in the Telangana region, about how many Bhagavatam troops are there? There are 800 Chindu Bhagavatam troops, and each troop consists of about 15 to 30 members. This is about the first part of your first part. Now we'll look at the second part. Who are Chindulollu? What type of instruments did they play? How was Chindu different from other performers? What was Chindu Yellamma's style? How was her performance different during the pre and post-independence era? Who introduced Chindu Yellamma to urban audience? Look at the questions once again. And here comes the second part of the passage. Who are Chindulollu? What type of instruments did they play? How was Chindu different from other performers? So most of the Chindu Bhagavatam troupe, all are about 15 to 20 performers will be there. They're all men. They are called Chindulollu. And how are they trained in different arts, including singing, makeup, playing musical instruments? What kind of musical instruments did they play? Read it. They played instruments like harmonium, cymbals. Cymbals are the talams that they do it. They bang like cymbals. Cymbals and dholak, which is a kind of a drum. And what is Chindu? Chindu is one exceptional artist who, despite leading the difficult life of a nomad, always performed with a sense of dignity and reverence towards her profession. What was her hope? To make Chindu Bhagavatam very popular among the masses so that it can bring respectability, recognition to her community. At the same time, while drawing the plight of the group of people struggling to survive the violent caste politics. Imagine from a downtrodden caste of a community she has come, the entire troop. There are lots of caste politics. There's upper caste people who will not allow them to survive. Fighting all this, she wanted to make this art very popular. And what happened during the pre and post-independence era? The Doras or the upper caste community people had people from the lower caste to look after their properties. And they used to organize Chindu Bhagavatam performances in the villages. And they felt that when these people perform, the gods will bless them. So how did Chindu Yellamma use this opportunity? How was her performance different? Who introduced Chindu to urban audience? So Chindu Bhagavatam performances, Chindu Yellamma used to use these events as opportunities to combine her performance with the moral short stories and advice to the Doras in the hope that they will treat the downtrodden people with and the poor people with some compassion and understanding and some respectability. she used to put these light stories and advice in her performance. And who introduced Chindu Yellamma to the urban audience? Nataraja Ramakrishna, who was the chairperson of the Sangeet Nataka Academy. He was the first person to introduce Chindu Yellamma to urban audience. Because of this, she earned immense respect, recognition, and the story of her life remains a shining example of one dedicated to the arts. After the formation of the Telangana state, all these forgotten artists have come to the limelight, from the limelight into your textbooks, so that we learn about the greatness of these artists, one and the only kind. And she was the great performer who performed both the roles of a man and a woman. And she was a role model, and she was instrumental in bringing about a social change in the society. This is about Chindu Yellamma. I hope you got all the answers to the questions. So with this, we have completed lesson 1, reading passage of the first semester Chindu Yellamma. A quick recap what we did. We studied types of reading, different techniques to be used for reading, that is skimming, scanning, intensive and extensive. Reading passage, we did introduction to Chindu Yellamma. We looked at some videos of Chindu Yakshagana tradition, how it is. Yellamma's biography, excerpts from the book Towards a World of Equals, and we did the text passage from the General English course book. So with this, we come to the end of the reading passage part 1. In that, lesson 1 of your degree first semester text. Thank you very much for watching, students. We will meet again with the next part, or the second reading passage lesson, which is on the Million March. And if you have any questions, you can put your questions in the comments. Please subscribe to the channel. Also press the bell icon so that whenever I upload a new video, you will get a notification. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for watching, and we'll meet again. So stay home, stay safe, wear mask every time you go out, wear a mask. At home, you see that you maintain sanitation. Whatever things you get from outside, you sanitize them, or you leave the packets. If you have got some packed grocery items, leave it in the sunlight for 24 hours for a period of time, then wash all the things carefully and then use it. Take precautions, stay home, stay safe, don't go out unnecessarily without wearing a mask, and protect yourselves. Stay healthy, stay safe. Well then, have a nice time, students. Take care.